Welcome to Career Intelligence, the podcast where we go beyond the resume to help you build a career that actually works for your life. I'm your host, Kathleen Tahoney, and today's conversation is one that couldn't be more relevant right now. If you've been feeling stuck, uncertain, or questioning what's next in this ever changing job market, you're not alone. Today I'm joined by Brooke Erol, career expert and author of More Than a Paycheck. And we're discussing what it really means to build a career in a world where traditional job security is no longer guaranteed. From navigating early career challenges to redefining success at the senior level, Brooke shares her practical strategies and a much needed mindset shift to help you take control of your path. So let's get into it. Welcome, Brooke. I'm very excited to have you here with me today. I wanted to just kind of think about how we met and what our paths had crossed during a time when we both worked for an outplacement service. I'm still there and you've moved on, but maybe what you could do is tell the audience a little bit about what you're doing now and
Of
all
course.
about your book.
Yes. First of all, thank you so much for having me. I love to have this conversation. I think both you and I have been in this like job market with people who are looking for new transitions or getting laid off. Like we see the trends and what's happening. So I'm excited that we're going to have this conversation because I feel like we are already having these conversations around our dinner tables with our children. We don't know how to guide them anymore. And people who are like maybe over 50 don't know what to do next. I mean, every generation is going through a different patch, is how I feel. So, yes, I mean, like you and I did the career coaching in a company, but I've done it before that and after that and on my own as well. So, would love to go deep into it and see what our audience is going to say about our conversation later. So I'm excited.
Well, I think that what you started out saying is it's multi generational. I hear it's just ageism or it's the young grads, but it's all throughout. Maybe you can share with us what prompted you to write this book, More Than a Paycheck?
Yes. So I've been writing it forever. And it even split into two books because one is mostly for organizations and leaders because I also have done a lot of consultancy. But then I turned to my audience and I said, okay, I think most of the people who need the book more than a paycheck are the individuals who are struggling, like we already mentioned, in all generations. And the first time that I have seen, I don't know what about you, would love to hear what you think, but for the first time for new graduates who are struggling this much to land their first job, right? So I started writing this because I talk to a lot of people like you do, people who are laid off, and these layoffs are getting more and more massive every year and they feel like they're failing and they're not. It's the systems that are failing us, is what I say, because the system that gave us some job stability, job security is not there anymore, right? We almost signed a social contract years ago when the industrial age was starting off and said like, okay, I'm going to give you my time and my effort, my skills, my experience, but in return, I love that you're going to give me a paycheck every 2 weeks, every month. But even if we do go and do exactly the same right now, people do not get the paycheck in a regular basis. They get
Right.
laid off here and there, although they do everything right. I mean, they done the education right. They have worked really hard. They went into these great companies. So I feel like the major topic of the book is since paycheck is not guaranteed, what can we look for now, which is more than a paycheck? Because I feel like the one pillar careers is almost taken away from us. It's going away too fast. So what do we do with this? then let's explore all other options. So I talk about four different options that we can all explore for every generation. And that's what the gist of the book is. Really, let's think about it because it's almost like a permission slip. We didn't give ourselves a permission to even think what we want, what we can do in at work and in our lives. So that's like a little short summary and an entry to the topics of the book.
Yeah, this is great because as far as we're concerned, we're brought up thinking we're going to be here and we might move around, but always at a point where we scale and whether we want to grow in our career or our salary. And we're seeing that's not happen. However, what we are hearing more of is this, and I'll do air quotes, gig economy, consulting work, and piecing together opportunities as companies, like you said, seem to shed off these full time roles. Not that they're going away completely.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about what you're proposing for people to consider more than a paycheck. What are some ideas?
Yeah. So first of all, I always believed that's why I quit my job at IBM at the time, which is 25 years ago now. Because it didn't feel right to only chase my weekends or a retirement that's not even promised, right? So that notion of working only for the money never worked for me in the first place, just for the audience to hear who I am, because it was very controversial at the time to leave a great paying job,
Mm.
which looks great on LinkedIn or on paper, right? But that was the notion that I always believed because I looked around and looked at people who were happy, and I always thought that they were happy with their jobs because that's where we spend most of our time, and they didn't chase the Fridays every single week. So that was what I believed in anyways. But over time, let's come back today, even if people wanted to work for a paycheck and they do everything right, it's not working, unfortunately, and not because they have done anything wrong, but because companies can lay off too many people all at once. And that started in the 1990s, and now we see it in the numbers of 20, 30,000, 40,000. So now people want to have more agency in their lives for a good reason, right? Because once that paycheck is taken away from them, next day you still have to pay the bills. You have a mortgage to pay. You want to pay maybe for the college of your children, or maybe you still are still paying for your college education. So how do I get agency? That's why I think the side gigs started to happen. That's why we have portfolio jobs, is what some people call it. People want to have a buffer, a backup plan, because they know they can be laid off just the next day. Or even if they find a job, which you or and my clients find maybe, they might be again laid off a couple of years later again and again and again. And we live longer, so we need more money to be, we need to save more money. So people in their 50s find me after they get laid off, and there's unfortunately ageism, so they can't find a job, but they still have to, they want to work, but some of them have to work. So how do
Right.
we find a formula for this, right? So that's why I have never ever recommended the side gigs or entrepreneurship, solopreneurship before until the beginning of 2025, unless that's what was the dream of my client. But now I feel like let's explore this
Mm.
as well. What can you do at the side, which is hopefully something you love to do anyways, so that maybe it's gonna turn into something more in time. But let's think about it right now. Let's explore it now before it's too late or it's just last minute. That's what I'm trying to say.
So, if we think about this, Brooke, sort of a few categories, maybe a piece of advice for a recent grad, mid level career, and more of a senior professional. Let's start with the entry, early career, where they're finding it really frustrating. As you see all these postings, 13 years of experience, and they're just graduated college, and it's called an entry level role. Any thoughts about that
Yes.
group?
Yes, I think my heart goes to them the most, to tell you the truth. And of course, I care about all the generations, but I have never seen it like this before. And I remember myself getting out of college with no worries to find a job. I graduated from a really good college, and that did it, right? The formula was working. But now, what I'm telling mostly, because I have a lot of young ones around me who cannot find a job, and they're in my close circle of friends, they're their children, I tell them, first of all, get the and mindset, not the either or. Which, what I mean by that is like, first, find any job. There's no job beneath you. Even if you can't find the ideal job now, please take anything you can find. It's a blue collar job. It's like you feel like you have not gone to college to get that job because it doesn't pay well or it's not what is ideal for you. It's okay. No job goes to waste. You're always going to get some skills. You're going to gain new experiences. You're going to connect the dots looking backwards when you are older, but get something so that you get some money, which gets you some confidence. Or maybe it gets you to the first goal of moving out of your parents' house. Get any job you can find and not either or. And definitely do not give up what you want to do next, your ideal job, the one that you really, really want. Do not give up on that, but try to do both. Because what I see is like they're looking for the ideal job, and I understand why. You went to school and you had a hard 4 years, and you want to find that computer science job that you wanted so bad, right? You were going to make 100,000 and more, and now you're not. But to stay home and look for that job and not finding it and applying makes these young people very depressed. So I
Right.
don't want them to get depressed. So find anything. And I have these amazing good examples around me, very close to me. Like one of them is like a UCSD graduate, very, very hardworking person. But she is also taking care of dogs. She does like go and works at the reception of an hotel. She does work as a barista. She has this slash economy jobs while she's still pursuing what she wants, which is to be a teacher. But she's not giving up on, but because she feels like I need to make money. And it looks like for a lot of people, oh, I'm not going to take that job. It's so beneath me. There's nothing like that anymore, unfortunately. This is
Right.
the reality. And I wish I can change the reality for the young ones, but this is where we are. So take that and like mentality, not the either or. Do not give up on each one of them. Just because you get a blue collar job now doesn't mean you're not going to find the next one. But make some money, make some more, like gain some more skills. That's what my advice is at this point.
Yeah, I love that. And that's really gaining life experiences as well,
Yes.
which you're going to be very valuable. You don't really quite learn that while you're in a classroom. So out there, you're learning negotiation skills, how to get along with others, and taking direction.
Very true, very true. Life experience, yes. And I see those ones are not getting depressed. They still do something. They're still gaining experience, which they can definitely use in their next job, next role. But at the same time, spend the time to find that job that is going to take you somewhere else. But do not give up on that. But I think that's why I am even taking it a little bit, might even behind the scenes before they get into college. I'm even talking to parents around me because they have to have a different conversation now with their children. Is college a really the best path now? What their kids want? Is there going to be a job like that anymore? So have those difficult conversations because I know it's difficult for parents because they want their children to go to college still, but to get and pay 250,000 in 4 years, is that going to be worth it? Or is a blue collar job better one, a trade job a better one? Or if they want to do something on their own, can you support them with that? You have to have those four paths that I talk in my book and talk about them all, is how I feel. It's just this time, which, like I said, I haven't experienced this before, but now it's where we are with artificial intelligence and where we are with the big corporations, especially.
Yes. So let's explore what would be some things that you would want to advise sort of the mid-level professionals
Yes.
who may be looking for either a change or out of work right now.
Yeah. So, and I think you and I, Kathleen, see them the most, the middle,
Hmm.
like, right, mid-career people, and they find themselves laid off. Let's talk about the laid off first, because a lot of them, I was just posting about it on LinkedIn today, without giving themselves some permission to sit down and reflect, which I know you do a great job with that too. Let's first sit down and give ourselves permission to think what is necessary in our next part of our life, because it's different for everyone, but right, depending on their financial situation, your experience, what you have done so far, let's sit down and have clarity. That's the piece that everybody wants to skip, unfortunately, but that is the most important step. You have to sit down, and that's why I have a lot of reflection questions in my book, because we have to do it in every stage of life. What is most important to me now? What's the priority? Is it the compensation? Is it the growth opportunities? It is the culture of the company? Do you want to find more meaning in what you do? I am very much into that purpose thing, but for the right reasons. So find out what you really need right now. Before having clarity, do not apply to anything and everything, because you're not going to land anything at the end, and you're not going to sound comfortable and confident and grounded because you're applying to everything, right? So that's the biggest advice I give to my clients. Sit down, please, please give yourself at least a couple of weeks, if not more. But if you can give more time, a few months, that's even better. And then figure out what's best for you. And what I usually do is let's explore all the options. First of all, if they already have a job that they're burned out, stressed out, let's find out if there's anything you can do in the company that you already belong to. Is there any other positions? Can you find some other perspective in what you do? Can you find a contribution that you're doing? It's not only the mundane task that you're doing. But if you're out of a job, of course, do you want to change the careers? Do you want to stay in the same industry? What are the different options you have? Or if it is something that you want to, like the third option, I always say, like, is there anything you can do at the side? What is something that you're passionate? Like, is it cooking, baking, or like farming, or anything that you might be able to enjoy and start off small? Because that's how I started my business. I started as my career coaching at the side because I wasn't making enough money, but I had so much passion for it because I went through the same steps myself, right? And then the fourth option I always give in my book is volunteer work, just to find some fulfillment if you cannot leave the job that pays you well and you're still okay with it. At least you're not burned out or stressed out as much. So explore all options, not only one, which is what I see the most. Oh, let me find exactly the same type of job. But let's think about it first. Is that giving you some fulfillment? Are you aligned? Are you going to be burned out again in the next one you find? So just this almost self-discovery of who you are at this moment in your life before we go and do next steps, because that's what's going to determine your next steps.
So, so important to give yourself the permission to
Yes.
look and get the time you need. As you said, gain the clarity. And if you are in a role that's not perfect for you, filling your cup elsewhere can be as important to maybe find what you want to do later on. So now the next group, so the senior level, what are some
Yes.
thoughts for that?
So that's a different place because I see it all the time from my clients after a certain age, even after 45, if for 50, depending on where you were and your experience and what you want. Or do you want an executive role or not? Or do you want to just like maybe find more meaning, which happens a lot because you know how life goes by so fast. And if you had a job that was go, go, go for so many years, now a lot of people try to find some purpose and meaning what they do. They want to slow down but enjoy what they do. But of course, everyone is different, right? Some people are still trying to promote or get the VP job or the director job. So depending on where you are, again, what is most important to you? And I always ask them the why behind the why, because we are sometimes in such like in that trajectory which says, okay, promote more, make more money, get more wealth, and just like you have to go up the ladder. But is that really important to you now? And why is it important to you? Is it to impress others? Is it for your ego satisfaction? Or do you really, really need that? So I try to take them to an inner place where we are aligned with what really matters to us in this stage of life, because we don't have too much time to work anymore most of the time after in our 50s. So we want to make sure that we get a little bit of more fulfillment, especially if we were only working for a paycheck until now. So it really again depends on the people, but I think the consultancy, the coaching, of course, are things that comes to mind, because now you have a lot of skills and life experience, work experience that you can share with others, and you want more autonomy in most cases, and you can't find a lot of jobs in the corporate that wants you unless it's a very big executive role who understands the experience you're going to bring to them. Again, I think the answer is the same. Let's explore all options. What can you do now which matters to you? But hopefully it's not only about the paycheck, which I understand. We still, like I said before, we definitely need to set more money aside because we live up into our 90s now. But hopefully it's more than a paycheck. But we have to look one person at a time where they are and what matters to them the most.
And something that stood out from what you just said is the values, which
Hmm.
can change as you get
Yep.
older. What was important when you were younger is
Yes.
changed now with aging parents and children, and could be
Yes.
you're caring for someone else. It could be caring for yourself as well.
Exactly, exactly. So definitely it evolves. That's why these reflection questions that I always ask also included in my book as a workbook, because it's something that we can do every year, because every year something might change. Like you said, you might be caretaker for your parents now, or you might be a grandmother. Now you want to help your daughter or your son with their kid, or anything that's happening in your life might change your priorities. That's the first thing. You rank your priorities right now, which might be very different than even a year ago or 5 or 10 years ago, for sure. That's why the sitting down and asking those important, deep-ended questions is very important. But I think the system that got us here is mostly very left brain, right? It only cares about the left brain attributes we have. It's wealth, promotion, get more, do more. It's never enough. But we forgot the human side of business, which is okay. Let's find something and more fulfillment. It's more than a paycheck, finding meaning in what we do. And as a consultant, I had the chance to work with companies who want to find purpose beyond profit, and they were able to tie like what people do on a daily basis with finding the contribution they're making by doing those repetitive tasks. It makes a huge difference when you find something meaningful in what you do every day. Even if it is punching numbers every day, it's not only that anymore. You are looking at the bigger vision and the purpose of the company, and some small businesses are doing a great job with that, but the big companies are too big to really care about that, unfortunately. But we lost the human side of business. That's what I'm trying to bring more upfront and personal for people and organizations, really. Because look at where we are. We're not at a good place, in my opinion.
No, we certainly aren't. And if anything, it feels very disposable. Did we not learn this history lesson from 20, 30 years ago?
Yes.
I remember it happening in the 90s. And
Yeah.
so young in my career, starting out doing corporate recruiting and then watching just tons of layoffs, we have to be responsible for our own. career and movement. So, Brooke, what
Definitely.
would you say would be some like 2 to 3 things that someone could take away? You know, certainly buying your book is going to be really key to learning more about how people can go beyond a paycheck, but something that a listener might say, I could start pretty quickly.
Sure. Thank you. First of all, the book was written so that it could be a DIY book, right? If people
Great.
cannot afford my coaching, I wanted them to have all the knowledge distilled into a book so that they can do this on their own, if at all possible. Some of us can, some of us need somebody to guide us through, but that was the purpose. Practical book with questions. But the first thing that they can do right now is really sit down and look at their existing situation with their career and ask the most important questions like, do I find any alignment or fulfillment with what I do right now? And if you're laid off, then the question might be, what is it that matters to me now? And I can't stress enough the ranking you can do about your priorities. And what do I mean by that? Do you need more? Is it the most important thing? Is it the paycheck, the compensation? Is it the flexibility that you need so that you can be more with your children, spend more time with them, which happened a lot during COVID, right? We got the chance to be with our families more, and we were finally thinking, oh my God, this is very important to me. Or is it the culture of the company? Or do you want to work for a company who has a purpose beyond the profit? Whatever that might be for you, rank them down and in a way that matters to you, because nobody can tell you what's most important to you in this stage of life. So ask those questions to yourself and see if you're in alignment with where you are or what you can do. And then also ask this big question that I'm sure you and I ask our clients. If you had the magic wand, like what would you be doing right now? If everything was possible, what is the dream position, role, or work that you're doing? And do not ask yourself how you're going to get there, but make sure that that is a dream outcome that you want, and then see if the things that you're doing right now are getting you closer or it's not, like it's taking you back. Are you expanding or are you extracting from yourself, right? So I think taking the chance to look at your short term and long term goals. Definitely divide them. Short term, it might be only making money, which I understand. It's the advice that I give to young people, right? Yes, it's important that you get out of your parents' house or make something or pay a bill at least, right? Or pay a rent. So that is your short term goal, but do not lose your long term dream goal. Definitely keep it in front of you. I always have everything that I visualize in front of me in my office. Definitely check that out, but also look at where you are right now and see if you can get those small steps to get there. So those are the things that I would do. I know it was a lot already. It wasn't only a couple of things, but that means take me time. That's the number one. If you don't take the time to reflect and ask these questions and sit down with yourself, none of that is going to happen automatically. So I think that's number one. Take me time and then think about those important questions and see where you are and where you can go and what's the long-term vision versus your long-term, short-term goals.
So this has been really great, Brooke, because I love the idea of a DIY because many people just want to do it at their own pace. So
Yeah.
how can they find your book?
Yes. So first of all, they can find me on LinkedIn. I don't know, maybe under your our talk, it's gonna have the links for that.
I will
Or
have them in the show notes. Yes.
okay, and then my website too has all the books, but then there's so many other free resources that they can download. There's blogs that I write about these for years and years to come. And LinkedIn, I have a newsletter and I always post something almost every day. It's all free resources to keep you in the right mindset. That's the most important. Don't go and talk to naysayers and who are always gloomy and negative. Yes, we have to understand the reality of today, which is tough on too many people, but we still have to make sure that we have the abundance mindset. Yes, we can do it. Yes, we can achieve our dreams if we really believe in it. So definitely look at my website. The LinkedIn are the best places to go and find it. It's under my LinkedIn profile under featured area, so they can find those places as you put the links, which thank you for doing that, of course, Kathleen.
Yes, and this has been really helpful, I think, for people to understand that taking the time, number one, having a mindset of it may not be a job I'm going to have forever, and potentially what else can I do with maybe short term portfolio consulting work. So before you leave, Brooke, tell the audience what's next for you.
Thank you. I think has been my passion, my purpose in life. So I'm going to continue learning about future work. I think the advantage that I have is because I also work as a consultant in projects, I get to see the other side of the equation. What are companies going through? What is happening with them? What are they thinking? Also learning more about, of course, the and everybody's of course talking about artificial intelligence, understanding which jobs might be going away, which might be staying, and what other new jobs are going to be created because of that, so that I can help my clients more. I'm usually at Instagram putting some short videos on YouTube as well, so they can find me there as well. But trying to make sure that I can help people and support them in any way possible, books, speaking, posts, LinkedIn, videos, everything, so that they become their career architects. Let me leave you with that. We are all have to be an architect for our own careers. Nobody's going to do that for us. And one pillar career is, I think, gone for many people, I should say. So we should think about work very differently. And that's what I'm going to keep on learning so that I can help others do the same. That's where I'm headed. In the same business, in the same job, because I love it, but with a whole different mindset that we all have to embrace.
This conversation with Brooke is such an important reminder that your career is yours to design, not just something you fall into. And more than ever, these careers are becoming more flexible or blended. If today's episode sparked new ideas or gave you permission to think differently about your path, I highly encourage you to check out her book, More Than a Paycheck, for additional guidance and reflection. And if you're ready to take the next step in your career, I'm here to help. Through personalized coaching, I support professionals in gaining clarity, building confidence, and creating job strategies that align with who they are and where they want to go. Don't forget to follow, rate, and review Career Intelligence and share this episode. Thanks so much for listening. We will be back soon with another episode. And in the meantime, stay curious, keep learning, and keep building your career intelligence.